I have lost my coffee. Where did it go? That's no good. I'll be right back. Okay, that's better. I found my coffee cup. I'd taken it in the other room. Um, so we're back here this morning. Important today because I got up at like 5:30 this morning, and yesterday we spent the entire day out looking at property. By the way, we're back at the video editing desk for the Base Camp Resort and Cabin Company and the Resort Adventures videos, and we spent the whole day out yesterday looking at property for what we've been calling our next big adventure. And we found, I think, at least two, maybe three properties that are very good candidates for what our plans are. And I found, yeah, this morning I was in watching the news and the Weather Channel, and they're talking about just here in the last couple of days, the most recent hurricane, I believe, was Ada or something like that, passed through and went up from New Orleans up. I guess it exited around New York, and they were talking about up in New York, right in the city. There was so much flooding up there that there was a lot of people without power and a lot of people that were actually without fresh drinking water and things like that. In a big place like that, that could be a real problem. And so, as we've been kind of developing the idea around this property that we were looking at, part of one of the things that we want to do is kind of set up some homestead examples and off-grid examples of, I don't want to call it survivability or survivalist kind of things, but just, I suppose, preparedness would be better. And it's something that's kind of fascinated me for a long time. I'm not obsessed by it, but I would like to be able to know that we have the capability of being on a not only a financially stable or sustainable type of a property, but also one that we can live on easily without really relying on the reliability of power grid or even water supplies or things like that. So I know that there's a lot of people doing it. And don't get weird. I mean, it's not like we're obsessed or just the preppers for doomsday or anything like that. I'm just fascinated with the whole subject of the sustainability. So anyway, the next property that we're going to do is going to really have a lot of those elements in it. And so as we were driving through and videoing these, I'm going to kind of go through and narrate a little bit while I'm watching it here, and because we're going to have to be, figuring out how to finance the property. And I know that we've got some, we do have the sale of a property that's going to help contribute to that, but it's not going to do the whole thing by any means. And so we're going to, go through the financing on it. I'll even probably end up talking to one of our bankers next week sometime and getting his thoughts on this a little bit. And hopefully that will help. And we're going to maybe throw some numbers together on this as well so that you have kind of a little bit of an idea of what to expect in the way of expenses, but then also what you have to expect in the way of potential income on a property like this. And we looked at two in particular that are kind of at opposite ends of the spectrum. One's 200 acres and has all kinds of stuff on it. The other one is about 11, 12, 13 acres, something like that. And it has almost all the same kind of stuff, just on a smaller scale. And that's, I'm leaning, well, actually, either one of them would be very cool. But we're going to kind of analyze them both a little bit and see what it's like. So I'm going to start this video and just go through talking a little bit about what I'm seeing here. Then I'll overlay it on there so that you can, unfortunately, I'm going to have to put my glasses on, getting that age, but we'll overlay the narration over top of it so you can kind of see what we're looking at and what we're up against. I'm probably going to be too loud here. So one of these properties is about a mile down a really rough and not very well maintained road, and that's kind of cool. But it takes you down to, this is part of the 200 acre thing that we're looking at, and it's got a stream running through it right now. It's been very hot and dry here, and this is a year-round stream. It's a spring-fed stream. We actually saw several places where the springs actually come out of either caves or out of the cliffside there and feed this thing. And so there's water in it all the time. This is right now as low as what they have ever seen it. Let me turn this down just a little bit more. There's one of the caves. And Shelly says, "Are you sure there's not bears in this cave?" And I said, "Well, it's big enough. It's plenty big enough for a bear to get in and out of. You could actually climb down into this thing a little ways." I didn't go down in there. Get a little too old for that. We'll have to recruit some spelunkers, I guess, if we want to get into this one a little bit more. But so this land had some off-road trails around it. We were driving in a 4-seat ATV here, and we were able to get onto some pretty rugged places of this property. And it goes all the way from this bottom land that we're kind of looking at right now, where the streams are, up to, I mean, this has one of the highest mountaintops in the whole county. It's like one of the 4 top highest ranges, and we've got a short picture of it here later, but you can see a little bit of that stream in there. And so there's live water on this thing, and there's a couple of secondary streams on there as well. This one you can't really do anything with as far as altering it, just because it's it's kind of a major feeder stream in this area. But some of the side streams we could actually develop up a little bit if we wanted to. This would be a great property to do ATV. That looks like a marijuana plant. I don't know if it was or not. There's a picture of one of the, from pretty close to one of the mountaintops that's there. Yeah, Shelly was obsessed with bears. But yeah, this stream actually, it would come out of the ground and then return. Right here is where it's flowing back underground a little bit, and then it came back up a little bit down the way. The one of the other one, this is actually pictures of one of the other places that we looked at that's smaller, and you know, it has a lot of the same kind of features on it. It's just not as big. And when, you know, as we look at this, there's one of the ones that we went through. We're going to be kind of analyzing this from, you know, an expense and a practicability. That's not the right word, I guess. This is one of the mountaintops that we looked at that was gorgeous, but it's designed for something a little different. It would be designed around that one single view right there. But that's the property, and we're, you know, how exactly this turns out. You know, the smaller one, the big one is like an open pallet. It's huge. The smaller one is like I said, about 12-13 acres, I think, and which in reality is the same size footprint as the working part of our treehouse resort. So I mean, a lot can be done on something that size too. And a lot of the people that that I follow, you know, that I follow a lot of Facebook groups regarding homesteading and off-grid living and things like that. And a lot of those people are really looking at something that's more in the 5 to 10 acre range, probably because it's affordable and doesn't break the bank. And you know, but even with that, it's a lot of it is still, you know, the expenses kind of pile up, but you know, people kind of are always trying to figure out the income side of a property like that. So as I look at these properties that we went to yesterday, in the back of my mind, it's always going to be, okay, we sort of can define exactly what the expenses are going to be on them. That's actually a pretty easy process. But what's not as easy as going in and trying to define what the income sources could be on these properties. So that's going to be the kind of an ongoing subject. I'm gonna let this one go right now, just so that you know. Make sure, if you haven't done so yet, go to the bottom of the video here and click the subscribe button. Click the notification bell, turn it on all notifications. That way, as we start to develop this idea out a little bit, you'll be sure to get all the videos and all the information that we're going to put out on that. And trust me, I mean, the part that's coming up is going to be the most interesting part, because we're likely to make offers on these places, one of these places, or maybe both of them, probably in the next week or two. And we are going to have to start putting a lot of pieces into place. So you don't want to miss any of that. We're going to really get into some details on it. And make sure to click the subscribe button, the notification bell, and we'll see you next time.